So great Thursday, Arnaud. How you doing today?
Very well, and you?
Doing great, doing great. And I'm excited to have you on this session today because, one of the things I'm doing in 2022 is really showing folks the power of building tribes. And I call them connectionally intelligent tribes. And those are individuals who I believe are conscious leaders, individuals who are action-oriented, individuals who have grateful spirits. And among two of those are the virtues that I look for to connect with conscious leaders. I look at you as a conscious leader. And one of the things I'm going to make sure I take action is to find ways that we can collaborate, we can support one another. And this interview, this discussion that we're going to have today is pretty much part and parcel of that, because I know that you finished a new book. We're going to talk about that. And I know you're going to be hosting a series of retreats that I definitely want to learn more about, and I definitely want to share it with my network. So with that being said, I want to give you the opportunity to kind of introduce who you are and why I'm so excited to share with our listening audience your message.
Yes, and I'm excited as well to listen to it. So my name is Arnaud Saint-Paul, and so a little bit of my background. I met with Chris a few years back in Conscious Capitalism in Washington, D.C. We worked together for a few years. But before that, I worked in finance, had several tech startups in Europe and the US, and won a lot of different awards related to them. And it's about roughly 10 years ago that I decided to dedicate my life to helping humanity in general to live through their heart and through experiencing compassion, altruism, empathy, and gratitude, and so on and so forth. All these beautiful experiences we can have as human beings. And so stemming out of that, I created a method called the Heartful Method, which helps leaders to connect to their heart and lead through that heart, whether they're professional life or personal lives. And I'm also on the side creating a charity or foundation related to the children to help them to become philanthropists and practice sustainable financial literacy using the latest technologies like blockchain and NFTs, etc. But anyway, so that's not the topic of this conversation. So heartful leadership means, in my experience and the people that I am advising, it means more harmony in their lives. It means also being more in their own flow, in tune with themselves. And that's why I wrote that second book called I, which is the journey of I towards itself. So how do I make choices, and what does that lead me to? And is it from a fear standpoint, or is it from a trusting standpoint, et cetera, et cetera? And that as we go and open up to ourselves, we start opening up to our heart, and therefore to loving ourselves, and to therefore accepting more and more of ourselves and entering into more harmony with ourselves. And that's a bit the key that I want to share with everyone through this book, through these retreats, and the upcoming Q&A that we'll have on the different social media, to help people to start touching with their own hands, in their own experience, what it means to be in harmony and coherence with ourselves, more so in these troubled times that we have gone through in the past few years and still going through. And I believe there is a way to embody that even within these troubled times. So that was the idea behind the book. And so the way it happened was that, so I was talking with international journalists, and they asked me, what was the essence of my teaching, and I found that word harmony. And in a few weeks came together a series of poems, 66 poems, that are really doors to connect with our own heart and start to dive deeper and becoming more and more present to some aspect of ourselves that are there, but we're not necessarily aware of it. And by doing so, we're actually becoming more present and therefore are able to accept more of ourselves, take better decisions, have a better outcome, and have a series of situations that are getting better and better and better, more and more positive, and where we start connecting with the magic of life, where everything happens congruently, in coherence with ourselves. So that's a bit what I want to share through my book, through my coaching, the retreats. The people that are working with me on coaching are really thriving in their own way, each in their own way. And I believe this is a replicable method that can be used in any situation in life. So we ought to learn it, everyone, and to be able to starting to understand how life is talking to us and how we can respond to it and grow with it and becoming a better and bigger version of ourselves, a more conscious version of ourselves. We were talking about conscious capitalism, but we have conscious leaders. I label myself as a conscious guide. It's more about starting to accept, as I mentioned earlier, more of ourselves and then own it and blossom in it and thrive. And that's the only thing that life wants for us. So why not, right? And so that's a bit, I maybe jumped a few trains covering many things that you had in terms of questions, but that's the whole philosophy of what we're talking about here.
No, I appreciate your answer. We could definitely drill down and get more clarification as we go on. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, just out of curiosity, when I was listening to you talk, was that when this is curious, it just came up. Your nationality is French, right?
Yes.
What would you say that has to do with your philosophy toward love and the heart? And the reason I'm asking this question is one of the, I would say, stereotypes that people have about France here in America is that it's a place of love and all this. So I'm just curious, would you say that you're being raised in France and being a French citizen has something to do with your feelings toward that, or something other, some of teaching or experience you've had in your life kind of put you on this course?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. So there are several events that happened throughout my life, yes, in France, where, for instance, when I was 13 years old, I woke up spiritually and I started to have a different understanding of what was offered to me in my environment. I wouldn't say that I found love in France because I had to travel a lot, living in Spain, in the US, going to countries like India, Bali, and so on, to find answers to my questions. So when I was young, I was driven toward one single question, which is, who am I? And that has been really driving all my different experiences from then to now. And hence the Heartful Method, that is kind of a visual map of what is consciousness and how we are having these human experiences and how we are becoming another version of ourselves if we choose to. And that was found thanks to readings like Ramana Maharishi, Alan Watts, etc., but also through my travels and my experiences abroad, funnily enough. So, but however, that is true also. So the retreat that is coming up will happen in the village where are my roots. And within that specific village, there is really a deep connection between the people that are in the village, which is a village of 100 inhabitants, so super small by American standards. And we get the water from the mountain. So, there is a beautiful environment here that it fosters more love if one wants to, right? And so there is that seed for sure, that French seed, and not the romantic love in that case, but more the fraternal and deeply rooted love. And then in Spain, in the US, etc., have to find other aspects of what it means to love, right? Because every single moments we are going through in our lives are moments of expression of love. Sometimes we don't recognize them as such, but nevertheless.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I know one of the things you talk about and you teach is heal through words.
Yes.
And I want to give you a chance to elaborate more on that. When you say heal through words, I mean, I think we can have a general understanding of what that means, but by the same token, words can also be hurtful as well. So I just kind of wanted you to kind of elaborate on when you say heal through words, how that works, and what is your process in that place.
Right. So Heal Through Words is a brand under which I am putting all the different activities. And the idea behind that brand is that through words, in this case, we can get to a better version of ourselves, right? And most of the time, when we start our journey on our journey towards ourselves, we tend to feel that we have issues. We need to heal this or that. Hence the name of the brand. With these words, when we choose them carefully, because obviously when I or you talk, we choose each word, right? Consciously or unconsciously sometimes. And so each word is an action in the world. It's a choice. So, and in that choice, I always have the possibility to choose whether it's a contracting choice, aka more like a fear, or an opening, an expansion or loving choice, right? And in that case, so to give you an example, let's say I'm telling you I'm going to try doing this. Another option could have said, I would have said, I am doing this. You see that one is more limiting, the other is more expansive, just to take that example. So by choosing version 1 versus version 2 or vice versa, I'm embarking into a different journey where in the version trying, I have a 50-50 chance of this happening. And because of that, let's say that we're in the wrong 50% chance, therefore you might be disappointed, and therefore they might have a discussion, etc., etc. Whilst if you choose, I am doing it, and therefore there is a higher probability that it actually happens, then you're going to be happier, and we're going to have we're going to be able to build something together, etc., etc. So there is a power in our words, hence the name Heal Through Words, because I believe this is one of the very key of how we can become conscious of ourselves and more so of the relationships we have.
Okay, all right. Mm-hmm. Another thing you say that I think is important to really pull out, and that people know kind of associated with your methodology and your philosophy and your mentality, right? And your energy, I like to say, is you say you want to live day by day through your heart.
Yes.
And can you explain what that means and how do we go about doing that process?
Yeah, this is a very large and long answer, and then also a simple one, I guess. So day in, day out, in every single moment, we have, again, a choice towards the experience we're having. about ourselves. So whether I am, discussing with you or in the office, or I am with myself, driving the car, etc., etc. Each single moment, which could be a second, a minute, or an hour, I have that choice of whether loving and opening up, or limiting myself, fearing whatever is the anxious thought processes I'm having at that moment, that self-negative talk. So living through your heart is starting to choose trust over fear, starting to choose gratitude over critics. It's starting to choose compassion, altruism, empathy, in my experience, invite them in my experience, whenever appropriate, of course, not all of them at the same time. And as that happens, as I am easing in a place of more and more love and less fear, some magical things happen where the flow of life starts to rush in and bring gifts to your experience. More of that, in other words, more of loving, compassion, gratitude, more reasons to be grateful, more reasons to be loving, etc., etc. And only because I started to accepting myself as I am, only because I am starting to choosing, I'd rather spend my time being happy about something than being critical about it and fearful, etc. It's a conscious choice we all have. So you could say, yes, but if I'm not critical about this and that, then this and that may happen. Yes, this is very true. But then again, if you're accepting as it is and opening up to the new experience you're having, then there may be a chance that it's not going to happen because it's not invited anymore in your reality. So it's really a 360 degrees shift towards a new way of living your life, but it's a very, very rewarding one. And more importantly, a lot less struggle, and that habit of fighting against walls, etc., has to go, right? And trusting that life will come to support you and bring you what you need, which is not the way we are being taught, of course. But this is what's happening in the people that are working with me. So that's my only experience I have, and that's the one I'm sharing.
Well, I think that's important because I'm a person who, at this stage of my life, going by Carl Jung's archetypes and maturation of growth, you go from being the warrior athlete, to the warrior, to the statesman, and then eventually to the spiritual person. I'm in a statesman level where we have a greater concern for our own interests and needs, and for the broader concerns of how our actions impact the world. And that's where the whole consciousness, why you and I connected within the DC chapter, conscious capitalism, because we have a higher purpose behind why we do what we do. And we understand we want to live our legacy as opposed to just leave a legacy, So with that being said, I think that that's an excellent segue into why I believe that as I build these tribes of conscious leaders and we go on these, we get together with the intent of doing something greater than we can do alone, that we need the opportunity to connect on a deeper level. And so the opportunity to come to Harmony Retreat is something that allows us to actually get together,
yes,
connect individually to ourselves, but by the same token, because we have that shared experience, it's also going to build stronger bonds within ourselves. So
yes.
Talk a little bit about Harmony Retreat as far as what are some of the benefits, why you created it, and more importantly, what we can expect for a potential attendees that's coming to the Harmony retreats.
So, in order for a person to start on that journey towards more harmony with themselves and more coherence with themselves, they can, one, purchase my book or go to our website healthrows.com, and there is a lot of information there, of course. But then again, you can maybe activate and have a quicker process towards learning the right tools to invite that coherence and harmony within, which is the reason of the retreats or coach or one-on-one coaching. But as about the retreat, the next one will be in France in April, in the Pyrenees, south of France, in a beautiful, beautiful setting. And the idea here, it's a 5-day retreat from Monday to Friday. And within these 5 days, we're going to help you to have a deeper experience of yourselves and of the group, of course, where we start to have a more and more harmonious experience of ourselves, of where the surrounding, the environment conspires towards bringing me, in this case, or you, a more harmonious experience. So every day is about a specific color, a specific word, and all the different activities are going to be connected to that. Also a specific chakra, as I can see on your background here. So, and each day we're going to go through these, the nutrition. So there will be Ayurvedic chef that prepares according to these colors and words and chakra the meals. We have yoga sessions that will work on these specific aspects of ourselves. We will have obviously some conversations and live Q&A together, working together, and then an activity that invites us to, for the first day, for instance, to be more present. For the 4th day is to be more on our heart, etc. So we'll go into different places around the hotel where we will be at, visiting places like Lourdes, which is an absolutely amazing place. Since the 19th century, it has been collecting miracles all over because of the water there. And so it's a place of pilgrimage that is actually on the path of El Camino, which is also known since 1100, if I'm not mistaken. People coming from Finland down to the east of Spain, walking to do a pilgrimage, and we're going through the Pyrenees. So we'll go and connect with these places, and then the last day we'll make a special expedition in a castles from the 13th century, where you had a communities called the Templars and the Cathars that were holding a certain truth. One of these castles is supposed to hold the Holy Grail, so helping us to really connect deeply with some very ancient root. Even if you are from the US, there is that root that exists. And so to be present to such ominous places and will help you, I hope, to bring you into more peace, into more awareness as well at the same time, into more joy of being who you are now, and therefore, obviously, to become more present to your own harmony that is there, but we usually tend not to look at it that way. So, and you will have some tools to help you activate this every day, right? Because it's not about the experience during the retreat that is a concern to me. It's more, how can you continuing on applying this same method and type of experiences in your day-to-day life. And then after the retreat, you'll receive some reminders with content that will help you, hopefully, to continue building upon that and go from there. And if you want, there will be every quarter another retreat in a different place of the world, so you can follow us. That's not a problem, and we'll always cover a different type of subjects each time. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing, I believe. And so I think yoga. I chose yoga for several reasons. One, because yoga means the science of union, which is the very purpose of harmony, right? So it's helping to unify all the aspects of this physical body that we are in. And at the same time, I had that encounter with Malati, who has been teaching at the Ritz in Paris, at the Mandarin Oriental, for about 9 years. And we're really on the same page related to how to live in harmony with ourselves. So I thought that, and also because for such an experience, we need both the masculine and the feminine energy that are hosting you. We're going to receive you and take care of you for these 5 days. And I believe that together we can provide you with something that is still better than if I was alone, for instance. And the last bit also that I forgot is that why yoga, why a physical activity? Because it's not everything happens in the mind, right? It's mind, emotion, and physical. These are the 3 levels or layers that we are, right? So we ought to be aligned at every single moment. The same way that I chose a chef that is very, very good at Ayurvedic cuisine, because we need vegetarian food because it's better for you and for me and for everyone. But besides that, because again, it's an experience. We want that experience that goes through this body, right? But makes us happier to be at this moment. So yeah, welcome.
So about that, I'm glad you mentioned the vegetarian diet. You gave it a term earlier. You said it was, what was the description you called the food that?
Ayurvedic?
Ayurvedic, yes.
Yes.
So what exactly is Ayurvedic, and what does that mean?
Good question. So Ayurveda is a medicine that exists since about 3,000 years in India. And so it's a series of principles that explain how food is also a medicine, right? And they have a whole system, and you can go to different clinics, the Ayurvedic clinics, that will help you to rebalance your physical, emotional, mental body. So we partnered with one in Bali that I know, and they created special menus for us that will foster more harmony related to the topics that we're touching in every single day. And so with that, and part of the gifts that you will receive going through the retreat is you'll receive a book of recipes if you want to come back home and continuing applying the same type of food, and also a session with an Ayurvedic doctor that will help you to learn more about yourself, about your doshas. According to the Ayurvedic medicine, you have 3 doshas, and the imbalance creates the potential issues you might have at the physical level. And so you'll learn about your doshas and what you could do with food to maybe have a better life. And so that will be complementary to the retreat, and potentially you can go to Bali and have an amazing experience there as well. But that's another conversation to be had.
You know, I like the way you explain things, you know, from a context of someone like myself who is looking to connect with himself, looking to build bonds and relationships with other conscious leaders, who's growth minded, grateful spirit. What would you say is the ideal uh, uh, target market or individual that you would say would benefit the most from this type of retreat? Or better yet, let me ask this way: is there any prerequisites for
Oh,
learning, for growth, that a person should be undertaking, or a certain maturity level they should be at to really get the true benefits of this retreat?
there are no prerequisites. If you feel drawn to come to the retreat, you're already there in the sense that you don't need anything else than that, right? Now, there could be a great experience for couples because it's all about harmony within, and therefore in your partnership you have with your partner. That's an amazing possibility. It's also great as a conversation opener for a CEO because that harmony that I am looking for and that I'm finding within will have a direct impact on the company I'm directing and leading, and therefore there is a potential of growing into more harmony, inviting more, and so the deepest you go into that journey, the faster your company is going to grow, in whichever shape or form, right? Besides that, anybody is really welcome. There's no need of having a spiritual understanding of yourself prior to coming. Now, obviously, you also have to be open to new concepts that will help you to change a bit your relationship with yourself, with your reality, and so that you can obtain the best from the retreat.
Okay. And why France for your first one?
Why France? It's a bit symbolic, right? I'm making it happen in the village where I'm coming from, and there is a strong history, obviously in France, right? It's the birth of so many different beautiful trends and cultures, and it feels right, right? It feels harmonious for me in this case, who is the one hosting this, right? Obviously. And I believe that for Americans, it's also a great way not only to be in contact with their deepest root that are there, right? Whether your origin is Hispanic or English or American, African American or whatever, it doesn't really matter. There is a bit of friends that you're carrying in yourself anyway. And and then obviously also very importantly, there is that culture of good things, right? Of the good food and the good wines and so on. And for the ones who want, we can even have some kind of wine tasting afterwards. That's after the retreat. That's a different story. But we will be in places where this can happen, and there are amazing places to eat at. They're absolutely wonderful. And cities that are with lots of history and beautiful settings. So yeah, why not, right? Also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I know for a lot of folks who I'm going to be sharing this message with, who may be interested in attending, they've never been to France before. And so, like myself, they're going to be interested in being able to kind of see France. So, will there be an opportunity to kind of do some sightseeing and experience France
Totally.
as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously time is of essence, right? So whether it is before or after your retreat, you'll have time or you'll have to take the time to visit a bit more of France, or even Spain, because we are at the border with Spain as well. So it's super easy. In half an hour, you're in Spain.
Mm.
But so there are many different places: Carcassonne, Toulouse, Grasse, etc., that are really worth your attention and your time. And it's we're happy to help you on that journey as well, to help you organize something that will be memorable, so that your journey to the south of France for that retreat becomes also an experience of culture and new ways. That would be awesome.
Excellent, excellent.
And good
Well,
food.
and good food and good people and good wine, you know. So what's the weather
Yeah, of course.
what's the weather like in April during that time frame? Which people will be expected to wear and bring with them?
So April, we're well into spring, right? So we're not yet in summer. So it may be a bit chilly at night, but we are already with, a good sun. I guess it's about 20 degrees ish, which would give you a 72, 73, if I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
in terms of weather temperature. So it will be rather sunny. And but this is not LA, so there is a lot of clouds as well once in a while, and it does rain. And it's a very green area, so rain happens rather often. So I don't know what's going to be the weather on during our retreat, but we'll be able to adapt according to it anyway. And yeah, but it's a beautiful month because we're in the beautiful spring, which so the mountains are absolutely gorgeous, and and yeah, it's very pleasurable.
Okay, excellent. Well, as we're getting ready to, wrap things up, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of share any closing thoughts or summarize, or, what would you want to leave, or what's the impression or the impact or the message you would like to leave in the minds of folks who are actually watching this interview?
So I guess beyond the retreat or beyond the book, what I would like to impress upon the audience is that every moment we have in our lives, uh, we have that choice of inviting more love or not, of living through more coherence or more dispersion, and being a conscious leader. I believe in my own definition of my own life and the way I'm living it, and again, the people that I'm working with. I cannot be a conscious leader if I am not getting towards more coherence, more harmony, more love, opening a heart, opening my heart so that the others can as well at the same time. And so, if you can make that choice of every single moment opening your heart a little bit further, accepting more and more and more, that will be amazing, and I'll be very happy about that. So do not hesitate to share about this as well. I'd love to have that conversation, and yeah, and maybe we can cross paths very soon in one way or another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I thank you for your investment of time and energy in today's
Thank
interview.
you.
The retreat sounds wonderful. I'm definitely going to be working on going. I'm definitely going to share this with my network and potential tribe members that I'm looking to build with and collaborate with, and make miracles happen, as I like to say. And so I want to go ahead and let you go on with your day in France, and but again, I definitely appreciate you taking the time out for this, and I look forward to the infinite possibilities that we can do together.
I am grateful. Thank you so much for this time, for your time as well. And I'm very happy to be able to share this with as many conscious leaders as possible. So have an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you as well.